så.
Nej, men vad bra. Då kör vi då. Bra. Jag börjar med att klappa, för jag är ganska traditionell. Liksom klappar och synkar liksom, i ljud och allt.
Kör din grej.
Yes. What's up? Oh, actually, what's up, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with Ola. Today with Mikael Åkerfeldt of OPETH.
Hello.
Welcome.
Tack.
You're probably right now one of the most requested people that I have for interview for Coffee with Ola.
Cool. Good coffee too.
Oh, thank you so much. It's our, it's the, what is it? The Black Friday purchase of last year. The coffee machine.
Tasted like coffee.
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted to do.
Coffee, yeah.
So, how are you doing?
Not bad. I plan to be hungover.
Okay.
A little bit, because I had dinner for once. My best friend Jonas, the singer from Catatonia,
Yes.
he wanted to buy me dinner. And I said yes. And we went to Järnet in Old Town.
Yeah.
Great place. But then I had my girlfriend called, and there's a cat scare.
Yeah.
So I didn't manage to drink enough to get hungover.
But
which is a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing for the interview, probably. Yeah, so obviously you guys have a new album, Last Will and Testament, and people, when I say people, I mean the general public out there are super excited because you're back growling again.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I mean, I don't have social media.
Yes.
Obviously, the record is not out yet, so I haven't read any reviews. But I've seen some, I'm on YouTube, believe it or not, every now and then. So I've seen some comments and videos. Oh my God, OPETH back, Michael's back, that type of thing. And yeah, there are some screams on there, and it's cool. That they appreciate it. It's also a bit slightly annoying.
Yeah, I understand that. But I mean, at the same time, if people have gone to see you, OPETH play live, you have been growling for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And you have been playing old songs. And so I don't think people, I mean, for me at least, I felt that this was going to happen eventually. But you know how it is. So is it really annoying? That the focus has become about growling?
Yeah. I mean, I choose not to get upset. I'm an old guy. I just take in, I decide I'm just going to take in, you love it, you love that I do that stuff, fine, I'm going to be happy about it.
Yeah.
But it's also, is that all we are? If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That we've done... 4 records in a row without that type of vocals, which people have liked,
Yes.
But it's so much focus on the screams. I figured I almost feel like I want to troll, just do a shit record, really shit, obvious shit with great screams and see what they think.
It will probably work. Happy. That's the thing.
Yeah, maybe it works. We'll see what happens, But. I'm really happy with the record. The screams sound really good.
Yes,
they fit this music and the concept of the record. So, all in all, I'm whatever. I'm happy.
I've listened to the album, and I would actually say that it's a lot of growling on the album. I mean, you say that it's a couple of screams, but it's a lot.
Yeah, it's quite. Yeah, maybe it's 50, maybe more. But it was fun doing it again. I hadn't done it on record or OPETH record for quite some time. I mean,
must 18 years almost.
Yeah.
But Watershed was the last one.
Yeah, Watershed was the last one with that type of vocals. So I didn't know I wrote the songs. I started with the one called Paragraph 1 and then Paragraph 7. So I tried some screams and to see if it fit with the music, because I hadn't written music with the intention of having that type of vocal for a long time. So I didn't know if it was going to work, but it did. Yeah. It sounded great to me, so I was like, okay. Besides, it's a concept record, and it gave a voice to that main character in the story. So that felt like, okay, I'm going to try.
And I mean, you've done concept album, but a long time ago that you did a concept album, Still Life?
Still Life.
Yes, exactly. So how does that feel to go back to?
No, I thought that was
becoming
fun.
really nerdy, because in my opinion, that's really nerdy when you go.
It is, but it was fun. I mean, it was more fun this time around because I'm older.
Yeah.
I guess I had more insight into how to do it, and I had a better story than before. So I had fun with the lyrics. They're not really like, if you read them, they're super serious. But to me, it was fun, you know, and that's kind of key word with everything that I do with this band. It has to be fun. Yeah. Even if the end result is super serious.
Right.
I have a good time doing it. So it was fun to put together this story.
Yeah. So what is the concept of the album?
The concept is the album starts. You heard it, and people heard that, you know, that first song, first paragraph. It starts with footsteps leading up to a door opens, and then off we go. Yeah. And a patriarch, a father has died. He's a rich, conservative, stern, old fucker who's passed away, and the album starts when his 3 children, arrives to attend the reading of his last will and testament. Okay. Basically to see what they're, so to speak, getting.
Yes.
And then throughout the album, through his testament, all the lyrics are written as if they were written like a proper testament.
Yes.
With paragraphs, which explains the titles or the lack of titles. And throughout the reading, he will reveal secrets about himself mostly, but many of these secrets will immediately affect his children and kind of turn their lives upside down. And then there's a twist to the end, to the story as well in the end.
Okay. So, like I said, I've heard the album. It's probably one of the most dynamic albums, or OPETH albums, I've heard. It's very all over the place. I mean this in a good way. It feels cinematic.
Thank you.
Like, do you have do you felt that you want to bring in some cinematic feel to this whole? I mean, it's a concept album, but is it a story that you want to make, like listening to a film?
I mean, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But I always had kind of images to our music, in a way. Maybe more so with this record. I kind of envision the main character and the story. But it wasn't really necessary for the writing of the music, you know. But yeah, I guess it's a bit more cinematic. I mean, I've done some press already for this record, and a lot of journalists are saying that, are you going to play the whole record? You must play the whole record. Are you going to make a film? Are you going to make a book? Are you going all these kind of things? And I'm like, I don't know. You know, it's just. For me, it's kind of business as usual in a way, that just try to write a collection of good songs with a great performance, great, you know, whatever, recording, all that kind of stuff. And that's it. And once the record is done, I'm kind of out.
Yeah, exactly. Know what I mean? Yep. No, so for live shows, you won't have a problem doing paragraph 5, for instance, just as a one-off. Okay.
No, they're completely two separate entities for me. The live band and the studio band.
Yes.
That's 100% of my integrity.
Yes.
When I'm on stage, I'm like, hey guys, you know, like an entertainer type, you know, type thing.
Absolutely. So this whole ordeal with how you stopped growling. What's the story behind you stopped growling in the end 2000s? What happened?
It wasn't so much that I decided to stop screaming or growling. It was I mean, people who know our band and the history, we did the record Watershed, which I thought was a great record, and it felt like a kind of, okay, maybe I'm done with this style. Okay. But I was a bit nervous. We were at the peak of our, so to speak, career, and people had expectations. Yeah. So I started writing what could have been a Watershed, so to speak, part 2. And as the story goes, Mendes, our bass player, showed up at the house, and we had a few glasses of wine, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna play something new. And he just went, it's like, he told me, this is not what you should do now. I think you should do something else. And that was really liberating to me.
Right.
So I started over. I scrapped the whole whatever I'd done.
Okay.
And started from scratch with an empty head, almost like the band has just formed and we're going to do something. But of course,
with the intention that you could do whatever you want in
yes.
terms of the genre.
Yes, and that's been our kind of MO since we started in a way. Like we do whatever we want. And this was a watershed moment, no pun, you know, like. So I started, and I talked to Mendes the other day, and he said the first song I wrote was a song called "The Lines in My Hand," completely different to what we'd done with Watershed, and everybody was like, "This is something." But that music, there was no place for that screaming vocals.
Yeah.
And the more I got into writing for what eventually became the Heritage record, there was just simply no room, no need for it. And I also wanted to discover other avenues of rock music, I guess. I was heavily into psychedelic music and progressive rock from the olden days.
Yeah.
I wasn't consuming death metal at all. I mean, with the occasional, of course, Morbid Angel record, being, you know, having a few drinks and want to play Ulcer Madness, that type of thing. So I just wanted to explore other avenues of music. I wanted to explore my normal singing voice, and also that it kind of opened up a new alternate route to what we have done before.
Yeah.
It's still dark. Heritage is, in my opinion, it's one of our darkest records, but it's also subdued. It's not like in your face, kind of. And I love that album, and I loved that decision kind of was made, and it made us really gel, the whole band. And when we went out touring for that record, I remember then we only played songs with clean vocals.
Yes.
And we started in Massachusetts, I think, the kind of melting pot of American, metal, whatever. And we played the whole album. The album hadn't been released either, and people were like, ready in the mosh pit.
They were ready.
And we started like ding on piano and people were like, "What are they doing?
Yeah.
What the fuck?" And we continued that, and of course the word spread that something happened with this fucking band. And in the middle of the tour, people were angry, yelling and "fuck you" and "play some fucking metal," and we were like, "Oh shit,"
Yes.
And to me, it was like no big difference really. It was just like dark music, but a different take.
Yeah. Especially live, it's like you have a sound.
Yeah.
And an album can portray one type of sound if it's subdued, but live it's always going to be smack hard, And so it shouldn't be that much of a difference.
No, but people were really upset to the point where we were threatened, physically threatened. I remember once, I can't remember where, but like somebody called me out like, "Mikael, I challenge you to a duel." People showing up like freaks who came up and told us like to our face that you're now dead to me, that type of thing.
That must be tough.
Yeah, it was tough, but as a consequence, we gelled.
Yes.
And we were like, okay, something's happening.
Became stronger of a unity.
Much stronger. And I tell you, to play those songs, I could all of a sudden hear us.
Yeah.
And before, on stage, I could only hear me, only focusing on me. I have to play the right thing, but like for once, it felt like we were operating as a unit, as opposed to individual musicians. And that was a great feeling, and it really made us gel as people and as a band.
So that must have affected how you wrote the album afterwards.
Yeah.
Right. So how did that whole process, that must have also been a new process. Suddenly maybe, did you record it live, or how does that work?
No, we recorded like we always have, kind of. Yeah, we actually did do the drums and bass together. Yeah. And recorded both of them to get that type of live feel. We still used the click track in the studio.
Yes. We can still groove to a click track. That's possible.
I guess, yeah, yeah. We have done that for all records apart from the first one, which you can hear.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, the next record is called Pale Communion, and it's a bit more polished, I think, than Heritage. A bit brighter. I wouldn't say happier. But then I was so excited about this sound that, okay, now I want to explore this sound.
Yeah.
And so we did that for 4 records, ending with the In Cauda Venenum record, where I felt like, again, same feeling like what I had with Watershed.
Done.
That chapter is done. Let's do
cool.
something else.
That's a long chapter, though.
4 records, and I don't know, a time span of
50 years.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, and how long has OPETH existed? When was the first album out?
It was recorded in '94.
Yeah.
I was 19, turning 20 during the recording.
So this second phase has actually been longer than the first phase.
Yeah, I guess.
Sort of.
Yeah. So we formed in 1990.
Yes. Yeah.
I think, and the first record recorded in '94.
Yeah. Exactly. So thank you so much for sharing that. I don't think a lot of people know fully, because now it's been so long since it all happened.
Yeah.
But I remember the moment where I heard it for the first time, like, oh shit, it's really prog. Like, and but I heard also rumors that you were like coughing blood at a like bloodbath show and stuff like that.
Did I? I don't think so. No, it's probably maybe
people probably wanted a better, or like a more of a drastic reason why you stopped.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I did have some problems with the death metal vocals for a while, or at least I felt, but I always felt connected that with me starting to use in-ears, where all of a sudden my voice is right there.
Yes.
And it was difficult for me to adjust. You have to understand that my technique for doing the screams is based on not really hearing what you're doing.
Right.
Kind of.
And suddenly you do hear what you're doing.
Yeah, and it was like, oh my God, you know, and you adjusted it, like I could feel instantly if the sound was wrong, or if I was playing too loud or too low, whatever, that I felt like even in the first song that my throat is hurting.
Yes.
But I never coughed blood.
Yeah, okay.
So I did have some problems. For some reason, I got used to it in recent years, and especially the last couple of tours we've done, I felt that screaming voice has been really strong for me, and it's been like almost like no limit what I can do with it. And on the new album, to me it sounds like almost, and it's really hard for me to, so to speak, praise something I've done myself, but it sounds almost better than ever to me. But then, you know, that's only my opinion.
No, I completely agree. I mean, it feels that back in, I will call it phase 1, but I mean, OPETH production has changed so much too, like in terms of what you can hear, and everything's very individual. Yeah. And it feels like the screaming is very individual too on this new album, where you can actually hear the nuances of your growling and screaming, where it feels more like its own instrument now.
Yeah,
and it feels strong.
It does, and I treat it like I'm very particular with how I want. Like, I don't have a lot of death metal vocal heroes.
No,
it's basically Dave Vincent.
Yes,
Chuck to a certain extent. I love LG, but how I want to sound is like this, I guess. But I also learned something during my time with Bloodbath, especially with the songs that Jonas wrote. He writes what I call stupid death metal.
Yes,
you know, just stupid riffs. And
like caveman stuff.
Caveman stuff. And he's also very particular with how he wanted me to sing his songs. And he was like snappy and short, and was rarely long screams.
Right.
Like Blackheim or Anders' songs that he wrote for Bloodbath, he wanted long screams. But Jonas wanted the short and snappy and almost like rap.
Yes.
And that's something that I thought my voice sounded good with that type of thing. So I kind of adapted that for this new record. And back in the day, I did long screams because I couldn't come up with another line.
Yes, no, that's exactly how I write lyrics too. It's very, very long words. And
it works. It works too.
That's cool. So something I'm extremely interested in, and whenever I bring in guests, As a songwriter, I'm always very interested of how other songwriters work. How's your process for this? Is it methodical or is it spontaneous, or how do you start working on a song? Like, what end do you start?
It's like I can play a little bit guitar. I'm a great drummer in my head,
Right.
but I can't play drums. But I can think drums. So it's or piano, for instance. You know, it depends on. You know, I just sit in my studio and like fool around until I hear it. All it takes, in a way, is like 2 notes.
A riff.
You go, yeah, or like you just like, that's something. Okay, I'll work with something. But I work really fast, and I work a lot on instinct. And I make fast decisions, throw shit out or keep something. Okay. Sometimes I like, this is really shit, but I'm gonna work with it, see what happens. Okay. And I spend a whole day, 2 days, and then in the end, it's still shit.
Yeah.
Throw it away.
Yeah.
You know, but I follow my instincts, basically. Right. And it's almost, and this sounds really pretentious, again, it's hard for me to, being Swedish, you know what I'm talking about, jantelag. But I trust my instincts, and work, like, it's almost like I'm not there.
Okay.
After a while, because I can't remember writing this record. Yeah. I can't remember writing, you know, particular sequences of music.
So it's a state. You're in a state.
Yeah, I guess. And it's like I have a what's it called, the mindfulness thing going. I can sit and look at a tree for a couple of hours. And my girlfriend goes like, "How can you not listen to something when you're out walking or do it?" And I'm like, you know, I'm doing something even if I'm doing nothing.
Yes.
So I guess it's something like that. You know, if I'm immersed in I can only do one thing at a time as well.
Okay. Yeah.
And I immerse myself, and as a consequence of that, I almost I don't want to say out of body, but it's something like that.
Yeah. So,
do you remember the story with Nicky Six?
Yes.
That he was sometime during their career exchanged for a Nicky Six copy.
Right,
like a doppelganger.
Right. Yes.
Because the new Nicky Six was slightly shorter than the old one.
Okay.
It was like a rumor in the 80s. That's how it feels like.
Right.
Been, you know, replaced.
Yes. by an entity that's there.
Yeah.
So when you're done with a song, and especially for a concept album like this, do you feel what the next song is going to be following up to continue to tell the story?
No, not really. It's usually like I finish a song, I decide, okay, this song is finished, and then I'm back to zero.
Okay.
And like
but for instance, like the lyrical themes of this is, you know, you have something that's more chaotic. Do you, because you have to sort of decide maybe, okay, this is the chaotic part with it calls for a chaotic song.
Yeah,
I mean for a it's easy for a regular album, but for a concept album, it's more of building.
Yeah, I mean the concept kind of took place as I was writing music, and I guess to a certain extent the lyrical content might have pushed me to write, because I had to decide the sequencing of the songs pretty early on. Yeah. And that they might have pushed me to write a chaotic part because the lyrics would demand that, or vice versa. But I can't really remember, to be honest.
Okay. There's a lot of really cool moments, I would say, on the album. There's like this whole Oriental thing happening on one song, and it's like I said, it's insanely dynamic. But it still feels like OPETH, and might actually be a contender for Album of the Year. It's
Thank you.
Insanely good. So, but to move on, just in regards of you and how you started playing guitar, we actually had the same guitar teacher at one point. Back in around the Watershed, you were taking lessons from Frederick.
Well, I got bored after 5 minutes.
Yes.
But he is like, he can teach guitar. He has had pupils over the years. But since I figured when he joined the band, I figured maybe this is a good chance for me to get better at my instrument or whatever. So we did have a sit down, and he taught me some. I have a weird technique. Yeah. For instance, like I'm not good at that.
Yeah. The treble.
I play like this.
Okay.
and like it's hard for me to sync both hands, you know, that type of thing. But of course, Fredrik is sitting right there, and he's the new guitar player in OPETH, and I'm like learning some scales or whatever he's teaching me, and I'm kind of thinking he can play it instead, you know. I digress from looking at like, you know, like getting taught something into thinking of songs instead. And also having this great guy, great.
Why not just outsource those parts?
Exactly, and that's that's what happened instead.
Yeah.
Instead of me becoming a more technically competent player, I just like, you play it, whatever. You know, luckily for me, like when we record records, I rarely feel I can't play this part. I play. It's like a 50-50 thing on the record. But I delegated more and more leads to him for obvious reasons. He's fucking fantastic. So he plays the leads, and on the occasion, like sometimes I feel like I want to play this lead because it's like it has to be
a little middle of me.
And you know, exactly. And like I'm more like, I value like fragility and shyness in guitar playing. Some of my guitar heroes are not shredders. So I feel like, okay, I want to play this part. Otherwise I have to sit and like, Fredrik, you're playing too fast, or you're playing too hard, or something like that. He can play everything. But just for, you know, sometimes I feel I want to do something. So that's how, even if it did, with intention of giving me guitar lessons, it really kind of backfired.
It's funny because at the time, that was at the same time as he joined OPETH, like you said. And I remember this because he was an arch enemy, and I took lessons from him probably weekly. That was around that time. And I remember him saying like, oh, I'm really excited, I'm joining a band. And I'm like, first thing I said, is it OPETH? And he went completely white because he wasn't allowed to say. But I just remember, okay, it's OPETH.
I mean, there was a crossfade from Peter to him. You know, where I had my eye on Fredrik for a while. I mean, I wanted Peter to take care of the lead guitar bit more than me, but he never really felt comfortable, wanted to take on to that role. So, and then Fredrik got ultimately fired from Arch Enemy because Chris was coming back. And then I was like, oh, you know, and at that point I knew him. I got to know him. It's like, that guy
might work.
Might work. And it fucking did.
So you mentioned your guitar influences not being necessarily shreddy. What are your guitar influences?
Well, I have those too. I mean, you know, it's Yngwie. You know, if you were talking lead guitar players, Yngwie was a big influence. I mean, I love his playing, but I love his music, and you know, loved it. Then it's guys like KK and Glenn, Adrian Smith. Love Adrian Smith. He's a great player. But then as I got into prog, you know, and also songwriters or whatever, then became Robert Fripp, like inventive guitar players. Andy Latimer from Camel. Reine Fiske. Fantastic.
It was just a little out of the...
No, I love Reine. Reine is, in my opinion, he's one of the greatest guitar players in the world. And I have looked and kind of learned so much from his playing. He uses pauses in the most musical sense, and silence in the most musical sense, and being untight in an odd musical sense. His idols is guys like Kenny Håkansson, which is also like a, you know, huge guitar player for me. But then, you know, there's acoustic players, Joni Mitchell, Nick Drake, Bert Jansch, John Renborn, that type of stuff, who played like folky type of thing. So like early on, I wanted to branch out, you know, and listen to jazz. So I bought myself some Wes Montgomery records, and you know, of course, like he played the octaves, which I like. I always love that sound.
You just move around the same.
And that's been a staple of my songwriting, octave playing, and I guess that comes from Wes Montgomery and Therion in the early days. Their first, when they were a death metal band. He also that guitar he played octaves. So there's all sorts of influences you know. But for leads, my strength is slow, simple leads with the sensitive, fragile tone, I guess. And all the shred bits, I leave to Fredrik.
Yes.
And La Rock.
Yes, absolutely. I heard Joe and Tempest is on the album too. I heard.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
John Norum, Michael Schenker, Frank Marino.
Oh, damn, okay.
Uli Roth, Matthias Jabs.
Wow.
All those guys. Matthias Jabs was maybe at one point in my life #1.
Very cool, dude. So you talked before about that this is a metal channel, by the way. A lot of my audience, they're metal oriented, so it's going to be a metal oriented question. No, but like you spoke earlier about, when you bring out the wine and you started listening to your old favorite metal albums. What are those albums that come out when you sit there and drink wine and it's on the second bottle? Or
yeah, some people would dispute whether my favorite metal albums are metal at all, but Sad Wings of Destiny. Mm-hmm. It's a masterpiece. It only has one semi-weak song, Genocide, which is still a great song. It has a ballad. I love ballads. Dreamer Deceiver. That song, my God, guitar solo. You can I can sing along with that guitar solo. It's beautiful. Rock-a-Rolla, Sin After Sin. Is that metal? Should we go more modern?
Go more modern.
Okay.
Modern. For the sake of.
Okay. Metal Heart. Mm-hmm. I bought it when it came out. I was choosing between that, Metal Heart by Accept, and Live After Death with Iron Maiden. Yeah. Didn't have money because Live After Death is a double album, more expensive. So I bought Metal Heart. Left Hand Path, I love that record. Clandestine. Yeah. Also Madness. The 4 first Morbid Angel records. Yngwie, is that metal?
I think it's metal.
Odyssey.
Yep.
Love that album. Again, his 4 first. Europe. Yeah. Is that metal?
Yeah. As a Swede, I think it's metal. Yeah. It's metal. It's metal. It's been played on Bandit.
It's been played on Bandit. Okay, that makes it metal.
I don't know.
Wings of Tomorrow, Out of This World. I'm a huge Whitesnake fan. Yeah. Is Deep Purple? That's not metal.
I think it's the beginning of metal, I would say. They're very important.
Yeah.
Let's just
Dark Throne.
Yes.
First album. Love that album. Soulside Journey.
Hell yeah.
I do like when they turned black metal as well.
Yes.
That one after, Blaze in the Northern Sky. That I bought for the equivalent of €3 new at Mega Skivakademin.
Oh yeah, in the T-central.
Oh yeah.
Oh, lätt.
€3. But that first one I think is great. Especially the drumming.
Yeah.
What else? Name a metal album that I would like.
Actually, I have a last member question.
At the Gates?
Oh, yeah, At the Gates. Yep.
But I'm weird. Like Slaughter of the Soul, their big album, is not my favorite. No. It's the first one.
Yes.
Red in the Sky is ours. I love that album.
Yeah.
And now I also love the production. I didn't back then. I was like, oh my God, sounds horrible. But now I love it. They were onto something.
You think? I think you appreciate a lot of productions during the '90s because they were very, very different. I mean, nowadays I usually talk about this, but like how productions are becoming more and more sounding the same, even in the metal aspect.
Yeah.
There was still like the '90s were still that was the last decade of different productions.
I guess
it's because people didn't know what they're doing, but also at the same time they did know what they're doing. I mean, and now everyone's using plugins and presets.
Yeah, and that sounds great, But then you're refining your feet. Of course, we had the D drum, like click.
Yes.
Whatever they were called on, and it sounds horrible. Back in that day, of course, it was a big problem to get that bass drum heard.
Yes.
So that was I don't know. You went for it because you could hear it, and it was important with double bass, whatever. But it fucking sounds like shit, to be honest.
I'll take this member question. I have YouTube members, and I asked them to ask questions for you. I have one, and it's going to be the end question of this interview. Question from a YouTube member, Peter the Destroyer. That's his name.
Peter
the Destroyer. Good name.
Does it say on the passport?
Maybe, I don't know. It's a very simple question. Do you like Pantera?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not like, I'm not like the biggest Pantera fan. I actually just bought a copy of Metal Magic.
Yes.
Which I kind of like.
Yes. I mean, there were still four, turning into the later Pantera there.
Yeah, exactly. It's a heavy metal record. Yeah, they're a band, like, they wouldn't be up there, like, in the top, but like everybody else.
Yes.
When they opened up for Priest, Painkiller Tour, I think it was, and they had just put out Cowboys from Hell. Nobody knew about them in Sweden, and they played. Me too, I was like, oh my God, this is the future. And it was the future, kind of. And then the album that came after that,
Vulgar Display.
Vulgar Display, that was a great record. Then was the Blue record.
Yes. Far Beyond the End.
Where they did the Black Sabbath cover.
Yes.
And Dime played a beautiful Planet Caravan solo, I thought. That almost rivaled the original. Yeah, I like Pantera, but I don't go like, fuck yeah, dude.
No.
To me it's kind of cool.
Yeah. I thought it was funny before you were talking about, I checked out the fourth album, I think, Cowboys from Hell. A lot of people refer Pantera as Cowboys from Hell being the first album because they had, like you said, Metal Magic and Projects in the Jungle and all that before, but a lot of people don't
I Am the Night.
I Am the Night, exactly.
They're kind of almost like maybe not glammy, but they looked a bit glammy.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And
but it was a metal, metal.
But I thought that was funny that you referred to, Cowboys from Hell as being their fourth album because it's,
Yeah, but you opened up, and I'm a huge Pantera fan.
No.
And I was like, okay, but better get the chronology straight.
Yes, exactly. So, Mikael, thank you so much. Pure
Thank you
pleasure.
for having me.
And good luck with the album. All right. Thanks, guys. That's it.
Thank you.
Bra.
Ska jag ta den här?
Nu kan du ta den.